The Colorado Buffaloes had the number 25 BYU Cougars on the ropes, and they absolutely blew it.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the app today. We're also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow, so that way you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage, because guess what? We're having a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun doing what we do. Right. We have a lot of fun covering the Buffs. That being said, they absolutely just absolutely wet the bed with the prime opportunity, no pun intended, to take down a number 25 team in the country. Right. And it really was, disappointing. You go up 14-0 early in the first quarter. You have that team dead to rights, right? BYU looked frazzled. They looked confused. Colorado had a really good game plan. Everything was clicking. And then all of a sudden they just got complacent and it went away. And it's just one of those things where I thought Colorado should have won that game, but they didn't. And it's just like, what the hell? Like, and here's what happened, right? And this is sort of why I think they blew it, right? You go up 14-0. Right. Even then, you hold BYU to a field goal in the first quarter, in the second quarter. Yeah, second quarter. And when you go up 14-0, you go punt, BYU punt. So defense comes up with another huge stop. Then you go punt again. Then you go turnover on downs to 10.5, which that was almost a disaster, right? So BYU makes it 10-14. And it's like, okay, we still have room to work with, right? Punt on your 3 plays and out, right? And it just wasn't it. And I think my biggest problem with the game, and this has been a constant issue for Colorado, and I'm just going to get to it. The play calling is not always what it needs to be. Caden Salter missed open wide receivers throughout the game. He seemed hesitant to make throws. He seemed hesitant to really trust his eyes. There was a play in particular, I think it was Draylon Miller on a little curl route, if you will, and Caden Salters, they locked eyes. They basically said, hey, how you doing? I'm Caden Salter. Hey, I'm Draylon Miller. Locked eyes. He was wide open, doesn't throw it to him. The camera pans to Deion Sanders, and he's going, he's wide open. He's wide open. What are we doing? And it's like, you know what? Caden Salter just simply was not trusting his eyes. And I think when he tenses up, he holds on to the ball, right? So Caden Salter was missing open guys. He wasn't hitting the right reads. And then I think the absolute killer of a play for Caden Salter, at least, where, it's just lack of awareness. You're a fifth-year senior, and it's 3rd and 3. And rather than just throwing the ball away and like, hey, maybe we go for it on fourth down, you take a 22-yard sack. You're just running around in the backfield like a chicken without your head. No, that's not the solution, right? And at the end there, Colorado has a prime opportunity because Colorado's defense came up with multiple stops. And I'm not going to say they played a flawless game because, BYU's offensive coordinator had Colorado's defense in a blender a couple times that I don't even know what you would call that. The end around where the Bear Bachmeier kind of like spun around 3 times and the cameraman was confused. Everyone in the stadium was confused. So it's like that was the icing on the cake for the game for BYU. But you get the ball with 1 minute and 34 seconds left. And again, just total, and you could even go back to the drive before. The game management from Deion Sanders is atrocious. It is what it is. I'm not trying to, it's not an attack on him. It's just he is not situationally aware of what needs to be done at all times. And we saw, and I'll talk about that a little bit more, but that last drive, you had a prime opportunity to really charge down the field, right? Because you had gone down the field a couple times on this defense and scored. And although this BYU defense is really good and this BYU team is really good, I'm not going to take away from them. Colorado hung in there, right? And I'm walking away from this game going, well, I think BYU is probably disappointed with how they played because they played down to the level of Colorado. But if you're Colorado, you had them on the ropes. Right? BYU was 3 of 11 on 3rd down, right? Colorado, 3 of 9. BYU's quarterback 19 of 29 for 179 passing yards. Like, not great. Like, they contained him. LJ Martin, who is like the guy for them, 15 for 58, right? They didn't let him run all over. That was the first game he didn't rush for 100 yards. That was a great defense stand by the bus, but Bear Bachmeier ran all over them, right? This Colorado team simply could not capitalize on momentum, and they can't get out of their own way. And they keep losing these close games. It's like, you're right there, but are you there? It makes it difficult. So I'm going to talk about the good and the bad, but first, as I fight through the hiccups, a quick break. This episode of Locked on Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over 5 Hour Energy. If you're tired, like myself, because these games are ending incredibly late, caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shots pack the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love the most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get the boost you need. So enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make me your first and or last listen of the day, because obviously it's very late. Let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about the good and the bad and the ugly, right? The good, Draylon Miller. I loved what I saw from Draylon Miller at running back. I think Draylon Miller was far too talented for people to think he's a scrub, he's a bust at wide receiver where they just hurl bubble screens at him, right? That, like, Draylon Miller as a Wildcat quarterback, I really liked. I do think they need to get a little bit more creative, right? They found one Wildcat play and they're like, okay, we're just going to run the same thing. It's like, okay, mix it up, right? Let him jet sweep to someone. I don't know, mix it up. Get Quentin Gibson going in there, right? I liked Draylon Miller at wide receiver, or at running back, excuse me. Another thing that I liked, the offense starting fast, right? The one thing that I talked about was Colorado's slow starts, or this is something I've harped on, right? You go up 14-0 in the first quarter, and it's like, hell yeah. Like, this is the Colorado we know. Like, Colorado needs to continue to do this, right? And then all of a sudden, it just sort of fizzled. But the strong start was there, and I liked that. Defensively, I don't know. I thought there was a lot of pressure on Bear Bachmeier. I thought that was good, but they just were not able to finish the plays, right? Bear Bachmeier, I covered Stanford back in the day at SI. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about this before. When he was a high schooler, they were comparing him to Tim Tebow in the sense of, not of like, oh, he's going to be the next Tim Tebow, but play style. Big, thick, hard to bring down. And we saw that today. So I thought Colorado did a decent job getting pressure on him. It was just not so good in terms of bringing him down. Another thing that I thought was good before we get to the negatives, because, I mean, there's a lot of negatives. I mean, third down defense was better, right? 3 of 11 for BYU is not great by any means. And Colorado has struggled this season to get teams off the field. That being said, here's where it gets ugly, right? The contain on Bear Bachmeier wasn't there, right? You were able to get pressure on him, but it just felt like there was always an open lane for him. Corners. I thought the corners played atrocious today. I think there was probably 3 penalties, pass interference penalties. I feel like 2 on DJ McKinney and 1 on Preston Hodge. Just not the performance I thought we would get from them, right? We trust Colorado's corners so much because they're really good. And it's like, hey, we need to load up the box to prevent BYU from running the ball down our throats. So that way you guys are still going to be on an island and we trust you. And it's like, okay, that was horrific. It was terrible. Game management. And this is on Deion Sanders, and I think he needs to hire someone to really help him manage timeouts. So Colorado, when it comes down to this, let me pull up the sequence. So BYU has the ball to start the drive with 6 minutes and change, right? 6:26, right? They're driving down the field, and then all of a sudden Colorado gets a huge stop, right? 1st and 10, then Colorado blows up a run. LJ Martin -5 yards, 3-yard run, third and 12, and then they were unable to run the ball again. So they punt with 30 yards. Mind you, Colorado tackled him with 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Call a timeout right there, and you get the ball with 2 minutes and 17 seconds, right? Because they're going to punt or whatever. So that probably takes a couple seconds off, but you're probably getting the ball with 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Instead, you let it run down to 2 minutes. The 2-minute timeout comes into play. Then your first play happens with 1 minute and 34, right? Your first play should have been happening with around 2 minutes or around, probably 2 minutes. You get an 8-yard pass to Sincere Brown. And I mean, you don't call a timeout. At this point, Colorado has 2 timeouts in their pocket. They go home, 2 timeouts again. They run the ball and don't call a timeout. Caden Salter scrambles, runs the ball, slides short of the first down marker, just no situational awareness. And then he, again, 2 timeouts. There's 1 minute and 6 seconds left. I like a timeout here to sort of refresh everybody, right? To sort of refresh, or talk about hey, this is what we need. This is what we're going to do. And Colorado didn't do that. Right. Instead, they let the clock run. They're going fast, but it's they're panicking. They're not fast with the plan. It's we're going fast because we know we need to go fast, but we don't know what we need to do when we're going fast. And I hope that made sense. But Caden Salter forces a pick on the next play, and the game's over. And it's great. You went home with 2 timeouts. You killed probably 1 minute of game time for no reason, and you're just sitting there hey, we probably could have won that game. The bad. Colorado's offense fizzled. I think that's on play calling. I think that's on execution. I thought Caden Salter, like I said earlier, was not trusting his eyes. I think he could have played a way better game and just simply did not. And Caden Salter, and I want to call him emotional, but he's a very happy-go-lucky guy when things are going well. When he starts to struggle, it's easy for him to unravel, right? That Omarion Miller holding penalty on Caden Salter's, what was it, a 50-yard rush? Absolutely killer. But after that, it felt like Caden Salter was done for the game, right? It felt like he had mentally checked out because he's dude, if you didn't hold right there, we do whatever. And it's yeah, probably, but you can't let that be the determining factor of am I going to just give up on this game? So tough performance from Caden Salter. I did not love what I saw from him at all times. Thought he left some throws out there, and I thought he played scared. And you can't play scared, right? You cannot play scared if you're Colorado. Other thing that I didn't like, and this is sort of, we're nitpicking here. Punter, Damon Graves, tough act to follow up with Mark Fassett. I think Mark Fassett was one of the best punters in the country. A lot of punts, 28-yard punt at one point. So that should have really pinned BYU deep down the field. Didn't. Tough special teams performance from him. But yeah, I thought defense, the run defense is terrible. It is what it is, right? We talked about, you have to be able to stop LJ Martin. They did, right? 15 for 58 on 3.9 yards per carry, but they could not contain Bear Bachmeier. 15 for 98, 6.5 yards per carry, right? They still gave up big runs, 32 yards, 20 yards, 16 yards, 16 yards, right? Everyone that had a rush for BYU is outside of Enoch Nwahine. I don't want to pronounce his name wrong. I probably did, though. I apologize. He had 1 carry for 4 yards. Everyone else that touched the ball for BYU in the run game had a rush go for 16 or more yards. It's not going to last. I do think that Colorado's defense played undisciplined. That was disappointing. And I think Colorado kind of went away from the run game at times, right? We look at sort of what they did. Michael Welch, 11 carries. Draylon Miller, 8 carries for 52 yards. Michael was 11 for 67. I thought they could have leaned on the run game more, and they didn't, right? So this Colorado team still doesn't have an identity. Right now, their identity is coming up close, but not being good enough to win these games. And that comes down to game management, execution, and a lot of other stuff, but very, very disappointing overall performance. So when we come back, I'm going to talk about what's next for the Buffs. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Quo. One of the tools that help make a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly OpenPhone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before, just with a new name, and that's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer service communications. It works right through an app on your phone or your computer, so no more carrying 2 phones or relying on a landline. Their built-in AI agent is a game changer. It can answer after-hours calls, capture leads, and keep business moving forward even when you're off the clock. So see why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly OpenPhone. Get started free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's QUO.com/lockedoncollege. And if you got an existing number with another service, Quo will port them over, no extra charge. So Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. This episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Let's talk FanDuel. The NFL season's here, if you didn't know, and you should be getting in on this action because right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something extra on riding on the action. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Let's talk about what's next for the Buffs, right? I don't want to harp on it too much. It's just one of those things where it's like, hey, you had a golden opportunity to knock off a top 25 team, and now against top 25 teams this year, Georgia Tech and BYU, you've lost by a combined 6 points. You have another chance to redeem yourself, though, possibly. TCU is ranked 24th. They might fall because they lost. TCU, high-octane offense that wants to huck the ball around. I mean, I have confidence that Colorado's corners could be better, that their secondary could be better. I think the game management and the run defense is what it is at this point. We're 5 weeks, soon to be 6 weeks into the game or into the season. And Colorado, they are what they are. Their identity is an offensive team that needs a lot to go right and a defensive team that simply cannot stop the run. When Colorado doesn't score 30 points on offense, they're 1-7. So you basically need to score 30 points if you're Colorado, and otherwise it's not gonna work, right? You have to be able to play a consistent game throughout, and Colorado has been far from consistent throughout the season. They're consistently inconsistent, which is not what you want to be. So TCU, another opportunity to make a statement, right? I keep saying you can make a statement because I feel like Colorado keeps coming oh so close, but at one point or another, if they keep losing these games, it's just going to be like, this is what Colorado is, right? It's a team that's good, but not good enough. And in the Big 12, that's not going to cut it. So really hope they could figure it out because there's a lot of football left ahead. They're still very much in contention for Big 12 play, for Big 12 championship. They're still very much in contention for everything they want to set their minds to, but they need to figure it out. I'm Kevin Borba, host of Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and I will see y'all tomorrow.